What is then the world's largest defence contractor doing at the world's largest telecoms and mobile conference?
Well, Tom, good morning, first of all. But we're driving a concept that I'm trying to introduce into the whole defense enterprise, meaning government, Congress in the U.S., parliaments around the world, military services, and all of industry, to create a 21st century security capability by driving digital technologies into national defense, into space exploration, and into climate protection, for example. That's what we're here for. We're trying to work more and more with the telecom and tech industry to advance that.
How recipient is that industry to that proposal, and what is the catch-up that you need, your industry needs, and how much of this focus is going to be on artificial intelligence?
There's been incredible uptake of the leading tech and telecom companies all the way through the industry down to startups to work with us for a couple reasons. One is the mission is a mission for everyone, which is to basically increase our deterrence to conflict and try to prevent war and any potential adversary from feeling that they can act aggressively and succeed. So there's a shared interest around the world, across industries, on the mission, but there's also mutual learning that comes back and forth. In aerospace and defense, in our industry, we're very capable in areas like cybersecurity, in resilient communications, etc. And there are a lot of lessons to trade back and forth. When we think about Internet of Things for the future, autonomous cars, for example, you're going to want secure communications. You're going to want cybersecurity. You're going to want to prevent hacking of those systems. So we're working with some of the largest, and then all the way down to the startups in both industries, telecom and tech.
And Jim, of course, look, this time last year, Russia invaded Ukraine. Some of your systems have played a crucial role in Ukraine's defense. The HIMARS system, the Javelin. Are lawmakers in the US right? Some of them have flagged this as a concern. Are they right to be concerned about the dwindling stockpiles, inventories in the US? Is that a valid concern?
It's valid, but being addressed. So what we've advocated with, in partnership with our government and Congress, is to create new purchasing authorities so that we can have multi-year purchases of these important and critical munitions, for example, to have faster development cycles for contracting. It's just sort of the blocking and tackling that says, we've got to increase our speed in national defense, both on the digital world side and the physical world side. And we're working with government closely on both.
And Lockheed Martin has pointed to a $1.5 billion order, I believe, for Ukraine for 2023. Can you give us some clarity on what weapon systems that might include, that amount?
So the U.S. government actually creates the policy for what can be, sort of provided to our allies. But, obviously, HIMARS and Javelin are a big part of that package. They were instrumental in the ability of the Ukrainian people to defend themselves against attack. And now we're advancing with some longer range ammunition, missiles, etc., to help them stave off any further destruction. So we're working with the U.S. government for our allies beyond Ukraine, across Eastern Europe, etc., to make sure we all have what we need and can produce what we need to try to prevent this war from expanding.
Do you anticipate further orders for Ukraine this year?
Well, again, it's up to the U.S. government to make those policy decisions. But beyond Ukraine itself, all of our NATO allies and the U.S. are providing supplies to Ukraine. Those stockpiles, as you pointed out, they need to be backfilled. And some countries, such as Poland, have identified that maybe the risks and threats are higher than they thought before, and they want to increase their capabilities in some of these arenas. So I do think there's going to be some robust ordering for these kinds of systems, because the world is recognizing that being able to defend yourself is a higher priority based on the necessity of the day.
When does production get back to full throttle?
Well, we're on full throttle for peacetime production today. The issue is we need to build in anti-fragility into our system, meaning if all of a sudden, as we have gotten, a request to double production with no notice, that shouldn't take the industry 2 to 3 years, as it does today, because we are geared and funded for peacetime rates of production. We need to put some anti-fragility into the system to say, if we need a double production, what are the low value or low cost investments today we can make to enable that in the future? And that's something, again, we're working with government, which is to, when an unexpected event happens, production needs to increase dramatically, that we can much more rapidly get there.
And there are these concerns we touched on around munitions, the ability to get munitions back up to the levels that are needed, surveillance gaps, and obviously the Chinese surveillance balloon is an issue as well. And there are some who said, look, the US military-industrial complex is not fit for purpose. Is that a valid concern?
I don't think it's a valid concern because on the Newtonian technologies, as I'll call them, the production cycle and development cycle for, say, a new stealth fighter aircraft, a new aircraft carrier, a new infrared satellite to detect launches of missiles on the ground. Those products take 8-10 years to develop, test, and produce in enough numbers to make a difference. So most MODs and Department of Defense in the US are kind of scoped for that timeline. But we can accelerate the digital technologies into the equipment we already have in a much faster pace. So what I'm trying to introduce is, and work with government to do, more rapid capabilities to insert digital technologies to upgrade a mission, not just the airplane itself, but the mission of satellite connecting to airplane, connecting to radar on a ship, every 6 to 12 months, where you'll have better and better capability.
Okay, there's been a lot of discussion, of course, about planes for Ukraine, and the F-16 has been flagged as potential. Do you think that F-16 would be appropriate? Would you back that, the F-16 being sent to Ukraine, and what is the time frame for training pilots, getting them up to speed?
So again, the US government decides on export policies, what countries get what equipment. We actually are contracted with the US government to provide allies the equipment that the government thinks that can be exported to them. So I can't really speak to appropriateness of a platform to a mission. But what I can tell you is we have opened up a new factory in South Carolina in the United States to produce F-16s. And we've got orders already for about 128 of them. We could take more orders as that factory gets up to speed.